Moving on to speciation, the most prominent consequence of divergent evolution is speciation, which can be defined as the evolution of one species into two or more descendant species. मतलब एक common species से आपके पास दो या दो से ज़्यादा morphologically and biochemically different factors होते हैं, distinct species evolve हो रही हैं. So causes of speciation, there's either behavioral या geographical isolation. Behavioral isolation occurs when two species have different courtship या mating behaviors. ठीक है ना? That's why they separate. And geographic isolation is basically the physical barrier which prevents the individual from contact, and this leads to speciation over time because वो reproduce नहीं कर सकते हैं due to physical barriers. So let's look at the types थोड़ी closely. So allopatric speciation occurs when a population becomes separated into two entirely isolated subpopulation. तो एक original population थी, उसकी completely isolated दो subpopulations बन गई. And once the separation occurs, different evolutionary outcomes are produced by natural selection and genetic drift, which operate on each isolated subpopulation independently. मतलब selection pressure फर्क हो गए, आपकी species भी फर्क हो गई. Then you have peripatric speciation, which is similar to allopatric speciation. Speciation occurs when a small subpopulation becomes isolated from a much larger majority. As the small populations are more sensitive to genetic drift and natural selection has to act on a small gene pool, divergence can happen more rapidly due to founder effect. अब जब आपका जीन पूल वैसे ही छोटा है बिकॉज पॉपुलेशन या सब पॉपुलेशन इज वेरी स्मॉल, तो जेनेटिक ड्रिफ्ट इज गोइंग टू टेक अ मच मोर प्रोफाउंड इफेक्ट एंड नेचुरल सिलेक्शन विल बी सीन मच फास्टर, जिसकी वजह से आप क्या कहते हैं, आपकी पेरीपैट्रिक स्पेसिएशन occurs more rapidly. Then you have parapatric speciation, which is a type of speciation which occurs when a small subpopulation enters a new niche but remains within the habitat of the original population. This affects basically बात यहाँ पे ये हो रही है कि parapatric speciation का जो effect है, that is because factors other than physical separation make the small subpopulation enter a new niche, जिसकी वजह से दो populations एक दूसरे के साथ breed नहीं कर सकती and speciation हो जाती है. And then we have sympatric speciation, which is the rarest and most controversial form of speciation and occurs when no form of isolation exists between two populations. ठीक है ना? So, for example, polyploidy is an example of this type of speciation. So polyploidy occurs when an organism acquires more than two complete sets of chromosomes due to an abnormality during meiosis. This normally happens in plants. ठीक है? Here there is no barrier or isolation between different species. और different species क्या हो गई? एक जिसमें polyploidy नहीं हुई और एक जिसमें polyploidy हो गई. But the same species due to abnormality acquires different number of chromosomes and further reproduces within other members that have polyploidy. They cannot produce with normal members now. They have to produce with members that have polyploidy. So that is sympatric speciation.